Here's an overview of the cab. I've got this board back here because this seat is pneumatic. It's an aftermarket product. It's a really comfy seat. But one time the seat gained air pressure and the back of the seat flew through this back window and broke the window. Horn, obviously. This is your exhaust brake. Keep it off unless you're going down a big hill. Like you'll hear a little air pop kind of, and then you can feel the resistance as it comes on, but your RPMs have to be up. These buttons, they don't do anything right now. You got a bunch of fuses in there, a few relays. That horn doesn't work. All of your gauges are functioning. Sometimes the fuel gets a little sticky. You got to tap it. That's Fred. This is your air brake. Air brake's off. Air brake's on. Now, there are no glow plugs on this truck. I don't know why or how it even works, but it fucking does. Even in cold weather, it does pretty good. So I don't just crank it on though, because I'll turn the key to auxiliary, and that way it cycles through and we get a little fuel into the system, and then I fire it up with the clutch in. Lights are right there. These guys, I don't ever lock these because the doors do not unlock with the key that's in the ignition. That's the only key I have. Make sure not to lock the doors, or if we do lock them, just leave these things unlocked so you can get in, reach your arm in and unlock the door. These are your controls for your sprayers. This one that says dump, it doesn't do anything. Just ignore that one. But these are all as they say they are. Okay, you can turn them all on or just two at a time. You're not going to get a whole lot of pressure if you turn them all on though, or even just one if you're watering a road. This one without a label is the monitor or the spray cannon on top. This is your PTO. In order to engage this, you have to be in neutral and you have to have the clutch in. And you really have to pull all the way up and just a little more and it'll engage. If it's grinding, you did it wrong, you need to start over. Always make sure you have your recirc on the plumbing so that you don't burn up the pump. You've got some pretty good directions down there. You've actually got two reverses, a high and a low. Gear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy's got to be down. To put that down, you have to have the clutch in and have it in neutral. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flip it up and go over to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It'll take practice. Don't get frustrated. Underneath this storage are some relays, but just for your knowledge, they are there. More storage back here. This is where you're going to find fuses, a few spare parts for pneumatic stuff. Radio, I put my radio right here. Fire extinguisher. First aid kit, belt weather kit. This is your radio charger. You can plug it into your cigarette lighter down there. There's no room in here for line gear. I'll take my line gear and I'll hang it on this hook right here. Okay, here's the guts. Windshield washer fluid, air filter. There's two filters in here. The big one I tap out. The little one I just leave in there. Don't ever take that out. Turbo. The exhaust brake is back there. Fun to install. This filter is a coolant filter. That filter down there is an oil filter. Coolant reservoir. This is your steering. This is your steering box. Now in Internationals, they have two steering boxes. There's one of these on the other side too, which is unique. This is your air compressor. This is your fuel filter and manual fuel pump. If you ever run out of fuel, you gotta pump that like a million times. Dipstick for your oil. This is the ECM, it's a computer. Power steering. This thing up here is a AC unit. There's no belt on it. It might work if we put some AC stuff in there and a belt, I don't know. These are your slack adjusters. You'll learn about those with your CDL course. Now, you're supposed to make sure that they're 2 inches or whatever. They don't. These are automatic adjusting slack adjusters, so you really don't have to mess with them. This is an air dryer for drying the air in the pneumatic system so you don't get rust in the tanks. There's a few tanks. This is a little storage box. They're labeled and and described with Sand Creek Fire foot valve for the suction hose clamp. This is where I keep my sticks of hose, 2.5 inch, 1.5 inch. This little compartment has a bottle jack and tire changing equipment, along with this little 1.5 inch hose that I like to use to fill up engines with. This is the monitor. It's a manual monitor. These guys get loosened and you can aim it whichever direction you like. There's an extra belt in here. This is like a gear torque wrench to get the lug nuts off if you need to, if you get a flat tire. Okay, these boxes up here, it's got 2 handles you got to do at the same time. This is a giant hose clamp you need for a support tender. The pump is right there, and it's run by this PTO off of the transmission. If you want to spray water using the front sprayers, the back sprayers, or the hardline hose in the back, or this 1.5 inch discharge on this side, this 1.5 inch discharge on the back, and this additional 1.5 inch discharge on the passenger side, you have to make sure your tank to pump is open, and I just keep that open. No reason to really close it. I always keep my recirc cracked. I open this one, pump to spray. Okay? That feeds water from the tank through the pump into your pump to spray plumbing. Clutch in. Pull up on that. Pump's on. Foam proportioner, manually regulated. We've got 5 gallons of foam right here. It says foam. You just open this guy. And then you open that guy back there. You want to make sure that you have your recirc closed. Goes into the tank. That way you don't get foam into the tank. You just want to make sure you discharge out of this if you're shooting foam. Take your cap off here. Take this loosey-goosey hose. Just shove it in. And then you can proportion your foam with this knob right here. Okay, this is drafting 101. Suction tube, we've got 10 feet on this side, 10 feet on the other side. You can link them together if you need to. And after you put your foot valve on, you put this part right here. Everything should be closed. There's a ball valve right here too. Handle broke off, so I just keep this guy handy so I can open and close it. This is tank to pump. First thing I do is open this, and remember, my suction hose is connected right here. I need to prime the pump. So in order to do that, I use the water that I keep in the tank. So I never dry the tank out. I always leave a little bit in there. And I open this. Now this water is coming in from the tank, and it's also filling up my draft hose. So now I'll go inside the cab and I'll turn the pump on. Water's gonna flow up here through the pump, come up here. Now don't open it all the way. You kind of just want to crack it, maybe halfway. Water going from the creek or the lake here, through the plumbing, through the pump, and into the recirc, into the tank. As I come over here, and I slowly close this ball valve, and I look at my pressure gauge. Now it's not gonna move a whole bunch. It might just move up to like 5. And then if it looks like I don't have anything, I'll just close this. That's my recirc, and make sure that I'm building a little bit of pressure. I don't want to close it for too long because cavitation is a real threat at this point. I'll just crack it, and I can kind of feel it start to flow through there. Then I'll keep an eye on my gauge. And if I'm ever in question, like, am I drafting? I don't know. I'll close this, and I'll open this gauge. And if water comes shooting out of there with pressure, then I know that I'm drafting. Okay, winterizing passenger side, start in the front. There's one right here. Crack it. Walk over here. Got another one under here. One for the monitor. Right here. One right here. Around the back. This guy. This guy for the hard line. I've got this guy here, which is open. That guy. That guy. That guy. That guy. And that guy. And the most important one, that guy.